Okay, hi everyone. My name is Niall Wilson. I'm with the Irish Centre for High-End Computing, which is Ireland's national HPC centre. So I'm just going to take 5 or 10 minutes today, give a brief overview of what we call SPÉir. So SPÉir is the satellite platform for Éire, Éire being the Gaelic term for Ireland. Okay, so what I'll talk about here is really just an overview of what the platform is, what its aims are, what its current status is, and what we're going to do with it in future. Okay. So the mission statement for SPÉir is to provide access to and facilitate the use of Copernicus Earth observation data and services for Irish users. So, what's Copernicus? Copernicus is that it better? Okay. Okay? That's, okay, I'll project. Okay, I'll just project. Okay, so Copernicus is the Earth observations platform in the European Union. So the European Commission has, in conjunction with various other agencies such as the European Space Agency, EUMETSAT, ECMWF, etc., run a series of satellites and ground-based data collection platforms in order to gather open access Earth observation data for the use of enabling a better lifestyle for all of the citizens of Europe. So Copernicus is the program, and the Sentinels are the satellites that give us the space-based Earth observation data. And these have been running since about 2014, and they're numbered, so they each have kind of a different role. So there's kind of, you can see 6 of them here, although really 7. So Sentinel 1, 2, and 3 are up there. Each of them is are actually 2 satellites, so they're 2 polar orbiting satellites each. Sentinel 5P is the precursor, and that's also been launched. That was launched in 2017, I believe. 4, 5, and 6 have yet to be launched. And in fact, Sentinel 6 is going to be a collaboration between Europe and some of the American, such as NASA, NOAA, etc., are going to be collaborating in this. So they each have a kind of a different role. Some of them are more similar than others. So for example, Sentinel 1 is radar-based. Sentinel 2 uses high-resolution optical. Sentinel 3 is focused on ocean data and really looking at the oceans. It's got a bunch of different sensors on that for looking at oceanographic detail. Sentinel 5P onwards, so 5P, 5, and 6 are more concerned with atmospheric monitoring. So, SPÉir as a platform, its aims really are kind of to build on things. So first of all, we want to collate and archive Sentinel data relevant to Ireland. So we collect and store data that covers Ireland and the North Atlantic. So an area of influence around Ireland, really. But not just to archive and have that data, we need to make sure that that's free and openly accessible, that these archives are openly accessible. And then to build on top of that, not just having the data available, but also to provide services and processing services on top of that to provide kind of higher level, higher value data sets to researchers. In doing so then, we aim to develop a user base which includes public sector agencies, academic users, commercial users, SMEs, etc., in order to really drive and promote the use and value of satellite data to the state. So, as I mentioned briefly, each of the Sentinel satellites focuses on a different area. Sentinel 1, the oldest of these, is synthetic aperture radar. Sees through clouds. You can kind of useful in Ireland. It's cloudy most of the time, so we can actually measure elevation, surface roughness, textures, etc. And this is primarily used for land and ocean applications, which looked at land use, flooding, ship detection, subsidence, forestry, that kind of thing. Okay. Sentinel 2 then is in the optical. It's high resolution. It's got 10-meter resolution. High resolution. We've only got a 5 to 10 day period of repeating, covering the same area. And this is really intensively used for mapping land use and changes, looks at kind of water quality and stuff as well. I'll come back to some of the uses of it in a little while. Sentinel 3 focuses on the oceans. There's a bunch of different detectors on it. It's not quite as high resolution as the optical. It's really down to 300. We have a daily overpass though, so it's useful for those kind of longitudinal studies. And it looks stuff at like ocean color, sea surface temperatures, And as a result of a lot of these detectors that are focused on the ocean, it's used intensively by the Marine Strategy Framework for monitoring compliance with pollution levels. It looks at water, coastal water quality, etc. So one of the instruments on that satellite is an altimeter, which looks at the height of the sea surface. And this is used in predicting significant wave heights, which is useful in terms of... Okay, I'll try. It's just flicking away. Okay. Okay. So that's used in significant wave height measurements for some of the energy programs which are used in the wave energy creation. Sentinel-5P is the most recent of them. So 5P is the precursor. So as I said, Sentinel-5 and Sentinel-6 are going to be focused on atmospheric, and it's really looking at trace gases, aerosols, clouds, measuring greenhouse gas emissions, air pollutions, etc., volcanic aerosols. So the map here, I think, is a depiction of various nitrogen oxides. So you can see it's useful. You can pick out actually areas of heavy industry cities, even in the middle of Spain there. You can see Madrid. Up in the north of Italy, you can see the heavily industrialized areas. If you zoom in on this, you can actually see the road networks because of the nitrogen oxides that are produced. Current status, we store all of the data from Sentinel 1, 2, and 3 over Ireland in the North Atlantic. We've got the kind of scales up there, so we're just measured in kind of hundreds of terabytes. It's accumulating daily. We keep an archive of that going back to the start of when the records are available. Sentinel-5P, we're archiving the global data set for that for use in various calibration exercises. So in total, we're looking at about 600-700 terabytes at the moment. Okay, so in terms of the higher level services that we built on, starting really at the beginning of this year, we have HPC infrastructure, which is co-located with our data store. The data store is built on DDN-WAS, so all of the access of this data, the storage and the access to it is via an object API, so we use the S3 gateways in front of this primarily for accessing the data, ingesting it. But then we want to develop data services and not just be an archive for that. So one thing is we need to provide the ability for users to be able to browse the data sets, discover it, to be able to perform various search queries. They need to be able to download those, preferably be able to not just the whole data sets, but be able to select particular subsets based on the instrument that they're interested in, etc. So users get access to the system. It's openly available platform. We have a graphical front end where you can sort of use mapping utilities, select the areas you're interested in, and then download the products from that. Okay, and that's EO browser. That's SPÉir.icheck.ie. So that's the basic data service. But on top of that, we're also providing processing services, whereby for actually domain-specific applications, we're containerizing them, running them in the appropriate platforms, such as our HPC system, which is co-located with the data platform, using a lot of the standard toolkits which the Earth observation community uses, so that we kind of can pre-package a lot of commonly used data subsets out of this in terms of the fields that people are going to be interested in using, building up really a sort of a longitudinal Irish data cube over time, looking at the same sort of images from the same set built up over time. So in terms of the kind of applications that people are using it, again, it's the Sentinel-2, which is the optical high-resolution satellite, is at the moment currently the most popular. That's, I suppose, intuitively what people will associate with satellite, and there's a lot of projects which have come up from that. The Environmental Protection Agency has got a project, Lakes from Space, which is, again, monitoring coastal inland water quality using Sentinel-2. They're looking at macroalgal blooms, invasive macrophytes in lakes. All of this is on Sentinel-2, and it's predominantly focused around water quality monitoring. We also have the ESA Validation Center, again, where we provide calibration data for all of the globe for Sentinel-5P, so other studies that are looking and they want to calibrate the data sets they have against what was there for Sentinel-5P on particular dates. We hold that data set and provide it. So there's two ways you can access it. There's the raw S3 interface, and if you kind of know what you're doing, there's kind of a search API that we provide for that as well. When you don't fully know exactly what you want to do and you want to take more of a graphical approach, see what's there, browse around it, we have an open EO browser where you can, for any particular location, you can actually query what data sets already exist for that location. That's freely openly available. So that's basically it. Again, it's really a platform which provides access to the Sentinel data in order to encourage the use of this data, particularly in our case over Ireland and the North Atlantic. Thank you.